In 1967, a small Japanese company was fighting for its survival. The government wanted to absorb it into larger corporations, but 47 engineers had a plan. They would build something the world had never seen, a car powered by an engine that experts said could never work, an engine that left marks they called the devil's nail marks. This is the story of the Mazda Cosmo 110S and how it saved an entire company from extinction. The 1960s were a strange time for dreams. America and the Soviet Union raced to conquer space. Japan rebuilt itself from the ashes of war. And in a city called Hiroshima, engineers at a company called Toyo Kogyo had their backs against the wall. Their problem was simple. Japan's Ministry of International Trade and Industry had decided that small car companies were inefficient. Companies like Toyo Kogyo, which we know today as Mazda, should merge with giants like Toyota or Nissan, disappear into history, become forgotten. But Mazda had acquired something unusual in 1961, a license from a German company called NSU. The license was for an engine invented by a self-taught German engineer named Felix Vonkel. He had earned a patent back in 1934 for an engine with rotating components and no pistons moving up and down. By 1957, working with another engineer named Hans-Dieter Paschke, they had built a working prototype. It was the first fundamentally new engine design since the late 1800s. It was smooth, it was compact, it had fewer moving parts than traditional engines. It was revolutionary. But it was also completely broken. The problem showed up every single time. After running for a while, the engine would fail. When engineers opened it up, they found strange wavy marks carved into the inner walls of the rotor housing. The marks looked like something had clawed at the metal from inside. The Japanese engineers called them Akuma no Tsume Ato, the devil's nail marks. The problem was technical but devastating. The triangular rotor inside the engine had seals at each tip called apex seals. These seals needed to glide smoothly against the housing wall as the rotor spun. Instead, they juddered and chattered. They carved those demonic marks into the metal. The seals wore out. The housing wore out. The engine died. This is where our story gets desperate. A man named Kenichi Yamamoto led a team of 47 engineers. He called them his 47 samurai, referencing legendary Japanese warriors known for loyalty and perseverance. These engineers tried everything. They tested different materials, different shapes, different designs. When nothing worked, they got creative. They made apex seals from horse bones. They made them from cow bones. Imagine explaining that to your boss. We would like to order several horses and cows for engine parts, please. None of it worked. The devil kept leaving his marks. For 6 years, from 1961 to 1967, the team struggled. Many people at Mazda thought the rotary engine was a waste of money. They should give up. Accept the merger. Let Toyota or Nissan take over. But Yamamoto and his 47 samurai refused to quit. They ran test after test. They built prototypes and showed them at the Tokyo Motor Show in 1963 and 1964. They completed a massive testing facility called the Miyoshi Proving Ground in 1965. They built 80 pre-production cars between 1965 and 1966. 20 went to Mazda's test department. 60 went to dealerships for evaluation. They ran endurance tests covering 700,000 kilometers total. That is like driving around the Earth more than 17 times. Then, in 1963, an engineer had an idea. What if they changed the frequency characteristics of the apex seal by modifying its shape? They developed a cross-hollow seal with a cross-shaped hole near the apex. They made it from high-strength carbon infused with aluminum. They tested it. No chatter marks appeared. The devil had been defeated. On May 30th, 1967, Mazda launched the Cosmo Sport. In export markets, they called it the 110S, referencing its 110 horsepower. It was the world's first twin-rotor production car. It beat the NSU Rarity to market by 5 months. The engine was tiny, just 982 cubic centimeters, with 2 rotors of 491 cubic centimeters each. But it produced 110 horsepower at 7,000 revolutions per minute. In 1967, that was exceptional power from such a small engine. The car weighed just 940 kilograms. It could hit 185 kilometers per hour, which is 115 miles per hour. It could sprint from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in about 8.6 seconds. The quarter mile took 16.4 seconds, but the numbers do not tell the whole story. The Cosmo was beautiful. Its name reflected the space race era optimism. The design blended Japanese minimalism with European grand touring elegance. It had a distinctive quad headlamp setup that looked like something from the future. The proportions were classic: long hood, short rear deck, low stance. The car measured just over 4 meters long with a 2,100mm wheelbase. Large windows and thin pillars made the cabin feel open and airy, almost like a convertible. The rear three-quarter view was particularly stunning, with flowing lines and a fastback profile that still looks modern today. Inside, Mazda did not skimp on details. Every car came with a Nardi steering wheel, adjustable bucket seats, fog lamps, a radio, and a heater. The dashboard had full instrumentation. There were even flow-through ventilation outlets on the B pillar, which was advanced for 1967. The car was hand-built. Workers completed approximately 1 car per day. Between May 1967 and September 1972, Mazda built just 176 total units. The first series, called the L10A, ran from May 1967 to July 1968. Just 343 were made. These had a 4-speed transmission and 14-inch wheels. The second series, the L10B, ran from July 1968 to September 1972. Mazda built 833 of these. They got upgrades: a 5-speed transmission, power brakes, 15-inch wheels, an improved engine making 128 horsepower with 140 newton-meters of torque. Only 6 Cosmos went to the United States during the entire production run. 6 cars in the entire country for 5 years of production. The Cosmo is one of the rarest Japanese collector cars ever built, but Mazda needed to prove the rotary engine could compete. In 1968, they entered 2 factory Cosmos in one of the most brutal races ever conceived: the Marathon de la Route, an 84-hour endurance race at the Nürburgring in Germany. 3.5 days of continuous racing, over 6,000 miles, more than 10,000 kilometers of flat-out driving. Car number 18 had Japanese drivers Nobuo Koga, Yoshimi Katayama, and Masami Katakura. Car number 19 had Belgian drivers Jean-Pierre Ackermans, Yves Deprez, and Leon Last. Mazda shipped massive quantities of spare parts from Japan. They assembled a huge support crew. Everything was on the line. Car number 18 ran for 82 hours. Just 2 hours from the finish, the axle broke. Heartbreaking. But car number 19 finished 4th overall. Only 2 Porsche 911s and 1 Lancia Fulvia beat it. For a first international outing for a revolutionary new engine, 4th place was extraordinary. The rotary had survived over 6,000 miles of racing. The apex seals worked perfectly. The devil's nail marks never returned. Mazda had done it. They proved the rotary engine was viable. They stayed independent. They avoided the merger. The 47 Samurai had saved their company. The legacy of the Cosmo stretches across decades. It paved the way for the RX-2, RX-3, and RX-4. Then came the legendary RX-7, which ran from 1978 to 2002. Then the RX-8 from 2003 to 2012. In 1991, a Mazda 787B with an R26B rotary engine won the 24 Hours of Le Mans. It was the first Japanese car to win Le Mans outright. It was the first and only rotary-powered car to win. It was the first car without a reciprocating piston engine to win since 1963. That victory had roots in the Cosmo, in the 47 Samurai, in Kenichi Yamamoto's refusal to give up. Yamamoto eventually became president of Mazda from 1984 to 1987, then chairman until 1992. He died on December 20, 2017 at age 95. The automotive world mourned the father of the Mazda rotary engine. His legacy lives on. In 2023, Mazda launched the MX-30R EV Hybrid, with a Wankel rotary acting as a range extender. The rotary returned. The dream survives. Today, a Cosmo is worth between $110,000 and $264,000 depending on condition and series. Museums display them as automotive treasures. Collectors hunt them obsessively. The car appears in video games like Gran Turismo. Classic car events showcase the few surviving examples. The Cosmo demonstrated that Japan could build world-class sports cars. It proved that small companies with big ideas could challenge conventional thinking. It showed that perseverance and innovation could overcome impossible odds. The Mazda Cosmo 110S was more than a car. It was a statement, a rebellion, a triumph of engineering will over technical limitation. It was 47 engineers refusing to accept defeat. It was a company from a city destroyed by atomic fire building something beautiful and revolutionary. It was the car that saved Mazda and created a 50-year legacy of rotary innovation. And it all started with the devil's nail marks and the samurai who refused to let the devil win.